Please welcome Jim Odorisio.
Welcome. Thanks. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the spotlight yesterday. I think it's always amazing, especially if it's the first time you've been in the sphere. So hopefully you enjoyed that. As a storage guy and a hybrid cloud guy, I certainly loved the attention yesterday for sure. I guess I'll start off first by saying, we're way ahead of the game. Last year, they said my name correctly, so that's good. I think we're off to a really good start. I think, first of all, full disclosure, this may be the longest spotlight session in HPE history. Don't be afraid. We've got jugglers. They're coming out. We're going to have a great show for you guys. But in all seriousness, you're going to hear about our comprehensive portfolio of storage and data protection solutions. And these are solutions that are aimed at taking care of our customers' mission-critical applications and allowing customers to extract value from their data. We want to do this through maximum flexibility and the lowest TCO in the market. Along the way, we're going to try to explain to you how we're fulfilling our vision of building natively built operating systems and storage systems on top of a common disaggregated storage architecture. This disaggregated storage architecture is the core of what we do to deliver unparalleled TCO, unlimited scaling from a capacity and independent scaling from a capacity and a consumption perspective. And it's at the heart of what's going to allow us to support AI workloads as well as mission-critical workloads into the future. So with that, let's get started. Here's our obligatory GreenLake slide in it, but I don't want to pass over this. This is super important. I'll talk a little bit about what's going on in the market and why hybrid cloud by design is so important. Several years ago, there are many GreenLake customers out there in the audience. Thank you for that. But it's becoming a richer and richer set of features and capabilities. Everything from our new HPE runtime software with VME or VM Essentials. All of we have a unified data platform, which is really this Alletra Storage MP architecture that we talk about. We have an optimized private cloud portfolio, and an increasingly and improving and expanding hybrid cloud operations suite of cloud management, observability, and data lifecycle and resilience capabilities. And they're all supported by enterprise services, partner services, managed services, et cetera. You just heard earlier in the week, and certainly at the keynote, we announced the GreenLake Intelligence Platform capability that creates that mesh network of agentic AI capabilities. We also announced the support for MCP, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. So we're not standing still. We're continuing to create value there. We're continuing to add extensions to what I think is the industry-leading hybrid cloud message and capability in the market. So I'm a storage guy. What can I say? Everything starts with data. Oops, back one, sorry. Got a little quick there. But everything starts with data. And customers are either, and you're all out there and you're on your journey from an AI perspective, I'm sure. But customers are looking to get more value out of their data. They're either taking data to drive operational efficiency within their organization, and there's lots of projects like that. How do you do more with less? Well, you work smarter, and AI can help you do that. And then, what are we doing to maintain competitive advantage in the market? How are we becoming more intimate with our customers? How are we understanding our customers more completely? How are we delivering an improved set of services and products to offer our customers? And it's all about the data. And so at HPE, our goal is to help you extract value from your data. That means you have access to the data, you have to understand the data, and you have to have the tools to process the data real time to extract value. And we're going to talk about that throughout. Organizations are being crushed by old tech and new demands. I think everybody out here understands that. The typical hybrid challenges, data sprawl, technical debt, spiraling costs, data protection, and cyber. Cyber in particular is an emerging threat. Everybody knows about it. right? This is a board level conversation. It's an existential threat to your business. And then you think about AI demands, AI adoption, AI data readiness and mobility. Data readiness, do you have a data strategy? This is another board level concern. Because if you're not investing in AI, if I'm on the board, you're concerned about falling behind. You're concerned about not keeping up with your competitors. So between cyber, between AI, these are board level conversations. And how do we allow, and nobody's giving you extra money. So part of the challenge is how do you free up enough dollars to invest in AI? At HPE, our goal is to make our storage smart, easy to use, at the best total cost of ownership, along with all of the hybrid cloud sets of capabilities that frees up funding so that you can innovate and invest in your future. So this is kind of where we've come from, right? You know, we've got this massive explosion of data growth in volume, in its distribution, its diversity. The data's between the public cloud, in your private cloud, on the edge, being used for training, inferencing on the edge, across various AI use cases, predictive AI, generative AI, agentic AI, and increasingly physical AI. This is driving the need for massive scale. You need a data strategy, and you need to have the mobility, and data has gravity, so it needs to be close to the compute or the GPUs where you're going to process the data. To just drive that point home a little further, so what have we talked about? Environments are becoming more and more hybrid. In fact, hybrid is the dominant model for IT. Everybody has data and compute and workloads at various places, in the data center, on the edge, and in the public cloud. That's hybrid. We are here to help you manage that in the most cost-effective way possible. And AI, it's the ultimate hybrid workload. Many of you are repatriating data back on-prem because you need to get your data ready for AI projects. That's not to say that there are workloads that are going to exist in the public cloud, and quite frankly, you know, it's just the right workload in the right place at the right economics, okay? But that's hybrid. So structured data tells us what happened. Unstructured data tells us why. And that why helps you become more intimate with your customers. It helps drive competitive advantage for you. So we've been on this journey. And if you were here last year, you've heard about it. If you're Alletra MP, B10K customer, you know all about this. I'm super proud of the team. We've come a long way in a year, but it's the same journey, same strategy. One architecture, one operating model. Not too many of our competitors can claim that. Mission critical performance and applications for structured environments supported by the B10,000. Accelerating data for AI, unstructured data with the X10,000. All supported by the Alletra Storage MP architecture, disaggregated, shared everything that gives you outsized benefits when comparing to monolithic shared nothing architectures. It's significant, it's impactful. Because of the way we can scale so seamlessly and in such a granular fashion, you can virtually ensure that you have zero over provisioning, cost savings of up to 40%, and energy reduction of up to 45%. These are the ways that we free up dollars for you to invest in other things that are going to be much, I wouldn't say much more strategic because I'm a storage guy. Storage is strategic. But you know, you're not being handed a pot of gold to go work on AI. So we're out here to help you invest in your future. Further, this entire data management stack needs to be integrated. We announced in March a unified data layer leveraging the HPE data fabric. Because these data sources, as you become AI data ready, as we talked about, they're heterogeneous and they're distributed. Everywhere from the edge to the data center to the public cloud. This unified data layer gives you mobility, governance, compliance, and that unified access layer that ensures that your data is AI ready. Again, sits on top of the same storage MP architecture, and then buttressed by a really complete set or multiple data protection portfolio that represents multiple layers of protection. At the core of this is our HPE Zerto software and our cyber resilience capabilities, our HPE Store Once. We have tape options, and recently added to that is the X10K, and you're going to hear a little bit about this. But the X10K is our unstructured platform, as I mentioned earlier. We literally bolted on, integrated our Catalyst Store Once data reduction software onto a flash gateway that collectively with the X10K is delivering over 2 petabytes of data ingestion an hour. It's literally the fastest data protection target in the market. Super proud of the team. So what are you going to hear? You're going to hear about how we can accelerate AI-ready data with the unified data layer, as I mentioned, but we're going to have some folks come in with a lot more detail. We're going to capitalize on data opportunities from cancer research. We've got a great customer that's totally inspiring. You're not going to have to listen to me this whole time. You're going to see more of me, by the way, than you want, but I won't be up here for 90 straight minutes, so you can all breathe a sigh of relief. We're going to talk in detail about the Alletra MP architecture. We're going to talk about how smart our storage is. Some of the best AI being written in HPE is running on the B10000, and we have a nice demo for that. And then we're going to talk about mitigating risk with multiple layers of data protection, and we're extending our partnerships, and we're going to talk at the end. So we've got a long session, but we've got it broken up into unstructured solutions and AI. We're going to talk about our structured portfolio, and then we're going to talk about data protection. I truly believe it's the most comprehensive storage portfolio in the industry. We've come a super long way, and you should be comfortable moving forward with HPE. And now I'm going to hand it off to Gokul Satyakama, who is our Vice President of Product Management and leads our unstructured data for HPE here at HPE Storage. Gokul?
Thanks, Jim.
All right.
Hello, Las Vegas. How are you guys doing today? First and foremost, I want to thank each and every one of you joining us today. You may be a partner, you may be a customer, you may be an analyst, you may be an HPE employee. It takes a village to be successful, and you guys are the villagers. And so we are proud to have these sessions so that we can come in front of you and showcase our technologies, showcase our innovation that we've done over the past year. But that happens with the combined success of all of us. So thank you again from the bottom of my mind. So Jim touched on this unified data layer. And I'm going to go through and take you through a journey on what it means to have this unified data layer. But before we get into that, let's talk about the challenges, what we have as data pipelines today, what we want to drive as outcomes for tomorrow, and how this unified data layer connects these things together. First and foremost is there is data in different locations, in different apps, and different formats. But you need to create a consistent and accessible format so that regardless of where your compute infrastructure is, you want to be able to process that data very, very quickly. This means reducing complexity in collaboration. The second thing is performance. Typically, you would have stored all this data in very low-performing storage environments. And in order to collect that data and process it, you needed a batch process, like an ETL process of yesteryear. But now, it's all about a real-time experience. And what does a real-time experience mean? Performance, faster time to insights. And the third problem is that data does not have context. So how do you create and enrich data to understand what's in your infrastructure so that you can do better decision making? And finally, pipelines are disconnected from your infrastructure, meaning that your data might be far away from your infrastructure. How do you coalesce all this data into one single infrastructure? And that's where data context is very, very important. Fundamentally, creating intelligence, thank you. Creating intelligence is going to be paramount beyond just going with the foundational metadata that you see in today's unstructured data storage environment. What does this mean? What if you can add enriched metadata in the form of emotions, tone, multimodal correlation, being able to link data that needs to reside together? What about entity extraction? These are some of the additional capabilities, additional metadata capabilities that can enhance the ability or enhance your data itself. And today, in order to deliver this metadata capability or this intelligence capabilities, we are delivering 6x more performance than our competitors. And we are doing this without any front-end caching or any extra hardware and no data movement in order to get to your results. But that's not all. We are working and collaborating with NVIDIA to boost the performance even further by doubling the bandwidth and reducing latency by 80% and CPU utilization by 99% through RDMA for object. This enables us, or this enables our customers like yourselves, to be able to do your AI pipelines, to do your AI model training, tuning, or inferencing very, very quickly, reducing your time to intelligence. So we talked about the data pipeline, being able to add metadata intelligence so that you can enrich your data and make it available for data pipelines by adding metadata tagging, vector embedding, and then the ability to chat with your data in order to get to that. But in addition to that, we announced that we are incorporating native MCP capabilities within the X10000. So it's not enough to say, look, I'm a storage solution. I have these buckets and these files or objects in my storage solution. What if you can provide models, context of what data you have on your storage solution? Now, if you have built this intelligence already and prepped the data, now you've eliminated the need to move petabytes of data into your compute infrastructure and focusing on the necessary data that is required to get to your intelligence. And that's what MCP allows you to do. But you've seen a few slides, but let me put this into context and give you a better understanding of what this can do. Okay? Roll the video, please.
At HPE, we can help to simplify your RAG pipeline infrastructure with the X10000 and data intelligence. Let's take a deeper look at what's happening when data is ingested. With Instant RAG, we create a bucket. You add data, and since the bucket is the pipeline, the vectors are automatically extracted. Add or remove content, we keep everything in sync. Once the SDK is configured, we provide a sample application for you to chat with your data. In today's demo, we show what happens when new information is received and how the system can respond in real time. Let's get started. Okay, here we have a bucket and I'm a user. I'm using user 1 and the secret key to access the bucket. Now let me browse for a file. In this case, we're going to add an HPE policy file. Think of this as version 1 that we're adding to our LLM. So now I'll upload it. Great, it's successfully uploaded to the legal general bucket. And as we mentioned, the X10000 fires an event and extracts the vector embeddings from the document automatically in real time. Now let's go take a look at our sample application. Here I have a number of users. Here I have user 1, and this user has access to a bucket called legal general. Now let's ask a question. What incidents need to be reported by suppliers to HPE? And here the LLM is using the policy document that we just uploaded to generate a response. And in this case, great result. There were 2 instances that needed a response, and it referenced them, and it also referenced the right document. But as we know, policies change all the time. There's a new policy that just came out. Now I'm going to upload a new policy that replaces the old one. I find the file and upload it to the bucket, replacing the old policy. Okay, let me copy the question. Okay, now user 1 asks the same question again, but this time we're looking for the updated response. Great, we can see that the policy now has 9 instances where a supplier needs to notify HPE. What if I need to remove a file from a response? It's simple, just delete it and the corresponding vectors are automatically deleted. Everything is coordinated. Let's take a look at that. As you can see, the LLM has no information on the document we just removed, as expected. In this example, we have 2 buckets. One with legal data files that contain general information that anyone can have access to, and a second bucket where access is highly restricted to confidential data. With this demo, we show how we manage the security of information for users. Now let's look at the second scenario. Here we have 3 users, each of which have different levels of access. With user 1, let's ask this question: how is a bonus determined? So exactly what we would expect. With this set of documents, we have no mention of how bonuses are determined. Now let's look at user 3, which has access to both the legal general bucket and the legal sensitive bucket for authorized users only. Here we do find the policy, HPIB remuneration policy, and it does have the bonus details. One massive security advantage is that since we are securing the access of the foundational data layer, this flows through the entire system, including the vector database and the application access. This eliminates the risk of data leakage, and it ensures that users' questions are answered only with the data and corresponding vector embeddings that they have access to. Because the document was returned, we can now search within specific documents for more details. In this example, let's ask for specific bonus percentages so we can get all of the details here. Okay, now let's do one more question with user 1. What are the bonus percentages? And yes, this user has no access to anything but the general information bucket, so no data is returned.
So that is the power of creating context to the data. And I also should mention there was no bonuses given out for the creation of this video. So we talked about the X10000 and how the X10000 allows us to create the context in our data storage solution. However, data lives everywhere. And that means that it can live in different locations, it can have different protocol stacks, it may need a unified access, and so on and so forth. So you need to create a global namespace or a single namespace that applications could point to instead of having these silos of data storage instances. So that's one of the reasons from a data stack, the unification of this data layer, we have the X10000 providing the real-time intelligence to create a unified data lake. In addition to that, there might be other sources, multi-format, maybe even a data warehouse that we can bring together with data fabric software as a data lake house, and now you're able to do compliance, governance, caching, data mobility, and provide different access level across a heterogeneous infrastructure. That's what we mean by a unified data layer. Not only providing the ability to create more context to the data, but also unification of all the data assets under one roof. And if you're doing AI data factories, turnkey AI data factories like the HPE private cloud AI with NVIDIA, this can be a pipeline into that infrastructure. Imagine now you can push the necessary data for these independent AI factories that may be doing multiple RAG, inference, or training profiles. And X10000 becomes the foundational storage solution for any AI factory solution. But that's not all. AI is just one use case for the X10000. Beyond that, if you have lots of containerized application you want to spin up and spin down, but need that performance, you can do that with the X10000. If you want to have different types of data lakes in order to deliver performance going beyond batch processing, the X10000 is a solution. And in addition to that, data protection is a key use case for the X10000. As Jim mentioned, we are bringing together this disaggregated architecture and bringing together the Catalyst engine that we've been developing for the last 15 plus years to create a single solution so that our customers can get 60-to-1 data reduction. 60-to-1 data reduction. In addition to that, 9x backup throughput, which delivers over 1 petabyte per hour. 1 petabyte per hour. Imagine that. And finally, 20x more faster restoration of your data. We have a customer who was interested in, or who has hundreds of 100 terabyte plus Oracle databases that they want to restore. Today, each of those databases takes 17 hours. You do the math. If it's taking 17 hours, how quickly can you restore that data from the X10000? Every hour that is down, it costs the customer $100,000. $100,000. We are also building our ecosystem to ensure that customers can take advantage of our integration. So this is not take our product, integrate it yourself. We're making sure that we have best practices in addition to providing the product itself. So we are not stopping here. We have very lofty goals. And these lofty goals include allowing customers to bring their own models to provide data context. Today, we have very rudimentary models that can help customers create the intelligent data. However, when you think about a healthcare environment where they're storing medical records or x-rays, and you want additional metadata capabilities, now we want to enable customers to bring their own models as well. This is big. moving massive amounts of data closer to compute is not possible. Think about petabytes of data being pushed into the compute infrastructure and doing the processing. That's not possible. So we are bringing compute close to the data, and the disaggregated architecture and the way we built the product as a software-defined storage solution enables us to do this. And finally, because of this disaggregated solution, we are able to add or evict aging components and bring in new hardware components into the storage solution, which means it's an immortal cluster, because we believe data lives on forever.
Gokul, great job. Amazing.
Thank
First of all, I want to tell you happy birthday.
Thank you.
But in all seriousness, folks, hopefully it's as impressive to you as it is to me. The team's been doing a great job. But Gokul, as we think a little bit about this and all that you've said, what advice can you give the our audience about the next steps? What should they be doing? Because everybody's on this journey, but what's the next steps for them?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Jim, because fundamentally it's all about a data strategy, right? Today you can be getting data from different sources, and then you may be utilizing in different AI factories or different processing. You've got to understand where the data comes and how the data is going to go out. And that means understanding your workflows and what you want to do with your data. And that starts with a data strategy, and then we can come help you figure out how to map our solutions to that data strategy.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim.
Good job. All right, folks. I did warn you were going to see a lot of me. So next, I want to invite Dr. Christine DiNardo to the stage from the Olivia Newton-John Cancer Research Institute. This is a truly inspiring story, and help me welcome Christine to the stage.
Hi, Jim. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Go ahead, sit wherever you'd like. Sit down in my living room here.
I've been trying to remember to stay on my right because I'm always on my left.
Okay. Whatever makes you comfortable. So Christine came all the way up from, as you might imagine, Australia. So how are you feeling, first of all?
A little bit jet lagged, but apparently this is the city that never sleeps, so I think that's okay.
You fit right in with everybody else
exactly.
out there. That's maybe not jet lag, maybe something else is going on. But like I said, it's not always that we get to work with such an inspiring company, an inspiring set of capabilities that you guys have. Tell us a little bit about the mission at Olivia Newton-John.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here and have this opportunity to really share with you about the important work that we do. So the mission of the Olivia Newton-John Cancer Research Institute is deeply personal to me, and I'm sure it aligns with everybody in this room. Essentially, our mission is to discover and develop innovative cancer treatments that are more effective, accessible, and tolerable for our cancer patients. And so we live and breathe this every day to make sure that we can fast track our time to discovery.
That's amazing, and like I said, it's inspiring to all of us to have a relationship with you guys and to partner in this. I mean, AI has been a buzz for some time. I know your patients are facing reality, every day as they go through treatment, and you guys are, they're trying to take this disease head on. I'm sure everybody in the audience has been, faced with a loved one or an acquaintance that's been impacted. I mean, how is AI actually changing the landscape of cancer research and care?
Well, even a step before that, for us as researchers, and even as you were saying before, Jim, data is key. And in our line of work, we are constantly generating copious amounts of data off very intelligent instruments. And these rich data sets full of information about a patient's journey, all the way from diagnosis through to treatment, and then ultimately with regards to post-treatment opportunities and what that looks like. So these cancer patients, as we know, do not have time to wait. And so we have to do everything we can to fast track that. And AI is unlocking possibilities that were previously unimaginable. It's helping us understand and basically deal with both our unstructured and structured data and be able to look at our data sets that we've accumulated over time, because realistically, a new breakthrough could be sitting within that data. The next best treatment for our patients could be sitting within that data, and that's what we have to push towards. And we're constantly developing more and more data sets, and because we work with patient information and patient data, we're looking at imaging, we're looking at genomics, we're looking at clinical trials data, so that's where we're going to get our answers and our advances.
Wow, it's quite a challenge. Access, knowing your data, the performance required, the security and compliance around patient data, it's quite a challenge, I can imagine. And so, and as you've talked about, with the focus on data and technology, how is HPE helping you down that path?
They have been a phenomenal partner, and the reality is that it's so important for us to be able to have a partnership that is not transactional, a partnership that really allows us to meet on common ground, an organisation that is equally as committed to our cause as the passion that drives us every day. And working with HPE has essentially they've worked with us to understand what our key challenges are, what our problems are, and to help us make sure that we're building the right framework, the right plumbing and foundational needs that we need, and connecting us to partners as well. I mean, part of our Alletra storage solution is also working with Cumulo to be able to, really capitalize on the cloud and our AI possibilities and opportunities. And so to be working with people that are phenomenal humans, but are also connected to cause and helping us to progress and advance our research has been phenomenal.
Well, it's great to hear that it's not only about Alletra, but it's the breadth of our portfolio. And I know going forward, we're going to be able to continue our partnership. And I just want to say, you guys are truly inspiring. I think you're bringing out the best in us. And I really want to thank you for being here and sharing your story with us today. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Guys.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. Dr. Christine DiNardo, thank you, folks. So next section of the program, I'm going to bring up Sanjay Jagat, who is our Vice President of Product Management, and he leads the Unstructured Solutions section. So Sanjay, come on up. Thank you. Good job.
First thing first, I want to just acknowledge the amount of work that has gone in and what just Doctor said. It is truly gratifying when you can really have this kind of an impact. So thank you very much for choosing HP, and we look forward to this partnership. One thing I want to acknowledge and start off with, right? Jim said something that was very, very interesting. When it comes to data, structured storage tells you what happened, and the unstructured storage tells you why it happened, right? But the idea here is, the fundamental point here is all about data. And if it's all about data, how do I unleash this value of data? It all starts with very simple thing. Building an industry's leading disaggregated architecture. Jim talked about what we have done. We've invested in this single architecture, single operating model. And what does that mean? Now, it takes an effort to think about it. You have to reimagine how storage systems are built so that you can unlock this value. This is what HP has done, HP has committed, and this is what is empowering and delivering on what value we bring to our customers. One thing I want to acknowledge and I'll start off with is this. The HPE Alletra Storage B10000 is the fastest growing storage offering in HPE's history. Think about it. HP has been doing storage for such a long period of time. This is what it means to reimagine storage. It delivers industry's first disaggregated architecture with unified block and file. It allows you to take this architecture, give you the flexibility, give you the benefits of economics so that you can manage your infrastructure in the most cost-efficient way possible. It gives you a comprehensive set of capabilities when it comes to operational capabilities through AI Ops. Not only that, it allows you to now remove mundane tasks so that you can free up those resources, apply it to places where you need to invest those resources so that you can take the advantages of all the innovations that are happening out there. And lastly, the most important thing, it gives you that ultimate peace of mind. That architecture gives you that peace of mind that I can now expand my capabilities, bring in and introduce new technologies, and make sure that it happens non-disruptively, seamlessly, and not only that, protects your data against all the threats that are happening out there, right? So let me expand on that a little bit more. This is something that I'm really passionate about, and I talk about why this matters. When you talk about disaggregated architecture, you see a lot of vendors start talking about the same terms. We've been doing this for the last 5 years. We have an unprecedented lead when it comes to building this storage infrastructure, building and investing in this architecture. And this architecture brings in fundamental value out here. It allows you to scale your infrastructure in multiple dimensions. And what I mean by that is very simple. If I want to scale and add more storage so that I can meet my capacity needs for workloads, I should be able to do that without having the need to buy new systems and keep buying and increasing my silos. That is very important. Applications are constantly changing. New modern workloads, Gokul talked about AI, pipeline. The demands of the applications are changing. You need more performance. In order to get more performance, I don't need to keep buying more systems. I should be able to continuously add more nodes into this disaggregated architecture so that I can scale my performance without having to worry about the silos and the incremental investments that happen out here. It also allows me to now scale in granular fashion where I don't need to over-provision systems. I need to make sure that I maximize the utilization without the fear that if I stretch this box, what if I run out of space? That's the value that the architecture brings to the table. It gives you that freedom, that ultimate peace of mind. It allows you to go and increase the utilization, reduce the over-provisioning, get out the maximum value that you can get out of it. Now, that was the whole two-phase approach of single architecture. And now let's talk about the single control plane and single operating model. What does that mean? The HPE GreenLake Cloud Platform today delivers AI-driven operational capabilities across your silo or different environments in a true hybrid cloud way, whether it's on the edge, whether it's in your core data center or in the cloud. And when we talk about AI Ops, I'm not talking about things that we did 10, 12, 15 years ago, which is what the industry-leading case was when we did InfoSight. We have taken it to the next level. We are doing things like, we give you holistic fleet management. We're giving you capabilities where you can automate all your tasks in such a way that you can now take your time that your admins take, like maybe days, weeks, to within minutes. Intent-based provisioning allows you to provision your storage with confidence, with the ability to protect it, set the right policies, so you don't have to worry about it. The capabilities like Workload Planner allows you to simulate your workloads, work on if-what conditions, so that you can assure that your applications and workloads are getting the outcomes that you're looking for, whether it's performance, capacity, scaling, and so on and so forth. We have predictive analytics that actually will give you real-time insights into your environment, will give you ability to go and pinpoint and troubleshoot exactly if there are any hotspots, so that you can resolve any potential issues and even address future issues that may be happening through insights and planning capabilities that we'll talk about. The goal here is very simple. If I can eliminate all your operational burden so that you can take those resources, invest it in the areas like what Gokul was talking about, what Jim talked about, in the areas where you can now figure out a way to maximize the value of your data, it's a win-win for both of us. So let's talk about what are we going to do out here to make it much even better for you, right? We talked about operating model, we talked about the architecture. I understand that more and more customers, as they look into their infrastructure, the traditional model has always been about speeds and feeds. What we need to focus on right now is outcomes. And when I say outcomes it's very simple. What is the most important thing that you care about your environment and your infrastructure? Hey, make sure that my data is always available. We stand behind this by giving you 100% data availability guarantee. We make sure that you have zero data loss and downtime. We can make sure that we upgrade your environment so that you don't even have to worry about the Windows and downtime, and let's get it up and running without impacting your application. We give you the most robust cyber protection through cyber resiliency SLAs. And what does that mean? It means that we have capabilities to detect anomalies through real-time analysis and entropy detection, flag any potential risk, make sure that your data is protected. Not only that, we'll make sure that you have an expert at your side within the next 15 to 30 minutes so that you can work on recovering as fast as possible. Everybody talks about storing more data and more data, right? Dedupe compression, it's ubiquitous. We'll give you the store more guarantee so that you can make sure that you get the most data stored on your system. Not only that, with the architecture that I talked about, we'll give you a guarantee where you can now be assured that you're going to get the most energy efficient system. We standardize on a common building block of Alletra Storage MP. We designed that block by removing any proprietariness. We made it more energy efficient. And with this architecture now, you can now consolidate with confidence, have higher utilization, lower your footprint, lower your rack space, and be able to get more energy efficient. To add to that, we'll give you a free controller refresh. That means you can upgrade to the newer technology, recycle your old gear, and still contribute towards your carbon footprint goals that you need to do, right? This is where the architecture, the power of architecture comes into the picture, right? We are so confident that we will give you a 30-day satisfaction guarantee as part of your investment protection so that you can buy this with confidence. This is the power of a future-ready program that is built on this architecture and what we talked about, the common operating model. This is the value that we bring. And not only that, we give you different deployment options. Google talk about turnkey, private cloud appliances. The software persona today can be run on Alletra B10,000 box, can also be run in public cloud, whether it's Azure or Amazon. And you can still manage and operate this through single common platform in GreenLake Cloud Platform. For our customers out there who are very sensitive and are very eagerly looking for a way to manage this within their own premise so that they can have an air gap solution, we have the capability to do this on premise in a disconnected way. We also give you an option. If you want to buy this in a CapEx motion, buy up front, or you want to buy this in a pay-as-you-go OpEx motion. The ultimate flexibility, the ultimate architecture, and the ultimate control plane. Now the story doesn't end there, right? If you have heard about all the things that we are doing with HPE Private Cloud Business Edition, this is where we bring the power of HPE Morpheus VME solution, integrated into a turnkey solution with Alletra MP B10,000, managed centrally through GreenLake Platform as a private cloud entity, where you can now integrate the MP B10,000, the SimpliVity solution, so that you can have an edge solution that is going to be at least 45% lower TCO with a core solution with Alletra MP and the disaggregation to be at least 2 to 3 times cheaper when it comes to your traditional solutions and operate it as a turnkey private cloud solution. And for customers who are looking to get out of the VMware environment, we have an ability for you to operate this and still continue to save on your VMware licenses through HPE Morpheus VME solution, right? Together, the Alletra MP B10,000 is far ahead of our competition, right? We, as I said, have this 5-year leadership role when it comes to this architecture, the investments that we have made. It delivers unrivaled capabilities when it comes to operating and delivering value and experience for you to eliminate your mundane day 0, day 1 task, right? The goal and the objective for us is to make your admin capabilities literally if I can eliminate your need for managing your storage and make your infrastructure invisible, that's a win-win for us, right? It has this 100% data availability guarantee, which is very unique and only solution in the market that delivers that. It gives you industry-leading ransomware protection, and not only that, it gives you turnkey integrated solution with different capabilities that we have. Immutable snapshots, Zerto, through its granular checkpointing and journaling so that you can recover much granularly. It delivers superior TCO story with your private cloud experience, and basically giving and taking advantage of the largest hybrid cloud solution that we have in GreenLake Cloud Platform. This is a recipe that has fueled our success. This is why this is the fastest growing product in the history of HP storage. And I want to thank each one of you, if you're out there, who has trusted us on this MPB 10,000. Thank you for your support. Let's continue to march on and continue to deliver on this. We are not going to rest on our laurels. We believe that this is a marathon. This is something that will continue to innovate and differentiate. We understand what our customers are looking for. Our customers are looking for us to help them achieve their outcomes. They want to make sure that they are investing in the platform, in the infrastructure, in the architecture, so that they can now go and trust HPE to do what they need to do to get their outcomes, and also focus their energies in areas where they need to be, right? We're going to give you an ability to be more dynamic so that you can cater to the workloads, not only for today, but what is to be coming, right? We want to make sure that you are ready for the world of AI and what Gokul talked about from a workload perspective. We want to make sure that your infrastructure gives you an ability to manage, operate, and take the advantage of, I think Jim mentioned this, the best AI implementation is within the product. And what we are doing in leveraging the agentic AI to simplify the operation is far beyond what you can expect anything out there in the market today. So it is something that you can trust HP on. We understand the technology is evolving very fast. There is a genuine knowledge gap out there. Nobody wants to be caught in that situation. So how can we help you and our customers and our partners build and mitigate that knowledge gap is critical for our success. So we are, like I said, reimagining the storage, and we are really, really excited to deliver on this.
Sanjay, awesome. Hey, listen, you talked about the best AI being written here, and I say it all the time, whether it's true or not. No, actually, it is true. It's some of the best AI being written at HP is on the platform. I think we have a video.
Yes,
Can we
had.
roll
I
the
don't
video?
know, it didn't roll up.
Let's roll the video. I want to see the video. You guys want to see the video? Let's get the video up.
HPE is excited to give you an exclusive sneak peek into our groundbreaking, generative AI-powered health assessment tools for the HP Alletra storage MPB 10,000. Logging into the portal, you immediately see a high-level overview of the health of our Alletra MP storage systems. From the colors of the assessment blocks, you can quickly tell if your IT fleet is healthy. Although the overall assessment indicates the systems are healthy, mousing over the capacity assessment block, you can see a couple of opportunities for optimization. Let's see what AI has identified and what we should be doing about them. The health assessment automation indicates we should be looking into snapshot protection policies. It has detected multiple overlapping and potentially redundant snapshot schedules. AI has also identified our snapshots have no expiration dates. And not addressing these issues will lead to higher capacity consumption, putting our systems at risk in the future. You might be thinking, how do I go about correcting these issues? With the Ask Alletra virtual assistant, all you have to do is ask. For example, if you're wondering how to fix overlapping schedules, just ask the question in the chat, and Ask Alletra provides you the recommendations and steps to resolve the overlaps. Ask for setting appropriate expiration policies, and you get the information you need to balance snapshot frequency against retention periods. Let's take a look at capacity consumption. The Ask Alletra assistant anticipates what we're wanting to know, like how quickly we need to address these issues. We can then drill into the consumption forecast and see historical trends and highlights. Let's look at this other system. Again, there are potential capacity optimizations here too. And the Health Assistant has flagged all the periodic and manually created snapshots because they lack expiration policies. Here are the snapshots we need to clean up. And according to our AI Health Assistant, this system will be running out of capacity within the next 6 months. So we should start immediately to implement the recommended changes. And it looks like the Health Assistant has anticipated our next question about prevention, offering clear guidance on how to avoid similar issues. With generative AI health assessments, we're making your storage work better for you. With proactive insights, you will know how to optimize your storage capacity and how to avoid potential risks so that you can now make better informed decisions.
Sanjay, this is just a narrow slice of the kinds of capabilities that we've built on and run right in the array, right?
Yeah, this is a look into what the future of your storage and operations are going to look like, right? It's funny, right? You mentioned this, and I want to just highlight one thing. I think people did not, if they are not noticed this. We today have the capability to identify issues, flag it, and all those things. The power of LLM and agentic AI now not only just takes that issues, gets you a recommended personal assistant, like a human expert by your side, so that you can now go and implement and manage your infrastructure in such a way that you don't need to worry about that knowledge that we have, right? We are fulfilling this gap as this infrastructure evolves to make it dynamic to adjust to your needs and your environment and your system. That's the power of AI, right? So really exciting time to see a lot of innovation.
Awesome. That's why I talk about our storage being the smartest on the planet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sanjay. So folks, at this point, I want to bring up Alan Harper, who's the Director of Corporate Technology and Governance from Shawbrook Bank. Alan, well, come to the stage. Which chair would you like?
I'll pick left as well.
All right, all right. We got a bunch of folks that want to be on the right side. Awesome. So thank you, first of all.
Thank you for
coming and joining us today and telling us a little bit about your journey. Shawbrook, really continues to grow and integrate new businesses. How are you thinking about scaling your infrastructure without increasing your operational risk?
So at the core of every company, data is the most important asset. So we absorb our data with a lot of governance and regulations around it. Over the last 5 years, Shawbrook has made 3 different acquisitions. Each of them come with their own complexities, and absorbing their data into our environment is just one of them. We invested last year in the B10,000, and with the capability, with deduplication, with the ops management, and the performance that we get from it, we was able to bring the data within our control really quickly. In fact, the last acquisition that we done, we actually integrated them fully within 3 months.
That's awesome to hear, and I think it's just that infrastructure that it scales with you.
Yes.
Right, and I think that's a great testament to what we're trying to do with the platform. So how is Shawbrook kind of balancing the modern infrastructure with the operational resilience too? Because it's not just scaling and mitigating risk, but how are you making your environment more resilient?
Well, it's interesting on two levels. The first one, more from a personal level, that my other half, she is the head of operational resilience at Shawbrook. So if I get the modern infrastructure wrong, she tells me off anyway.
Right.
So, but then in addition to that, what we've been able to do is go to a truly hybrid multi-cloud strategy, which means that we're able to evaluate a workload, assess it against principles, and then decide if we bring a workload on premise and work out where it's best suited to run from. In addition to that, we've been able to carry out DR testing, so we're a Zerto customer, and our DR testing, from a regulatory perspective, we have to do it once a year, and that's what we were doing, and now we pretty much do a lot of our applications on a monthly basis because of that power.
I mean, regulations are amazing, so you're dealing with DORA, right, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And from a DR perspective, Zerto is industry leading, gives you the best RPOs and RTOs.
We're achieving 7-second RPO and 18-second RTOs.
Awesome. So what's next for Shawbrook is you from a data perspective, when you look at AI, and I think this other thing that I talked about earlier, kind of kicking things off, this emergence of the cyber threat, it's just increasing threat vector that we're all dealing with.
Yeah, and technology should be seen as an enabler. So we should not be a hindrance, and we should be encouraging all of these new technologies and making the most of it. However, we need to do it in a very safe and controlled manner. So we have different layers of defense. We ensure that cyber isn't just a one-stop shop. We make sure that we have different layers at different periods, and we protect the data as much as possible. We have to have guardrails up around AI, but we want to encourage all of these new technologies in AI because, much like what Sanjay says, we want to have our really smart people doing really smart things and not the mundane tasks. So it's very much a work smarter, not harder mentality.
Definitely want to protect the data, ensure security, and enable the innovation that needs to happen in your operation, right?
Exactly. I mean, technology is constantly evolving, and if we don't evolve with it, we're not making the most of it and getting greater insights into our data. And just by the steps that we've taken so far and what we're now able to model with our data has been really remarkable.
Well, you guys are a great example of a hybrid environment, leveraging mission critical workloads, dealing with threat vectors, dealing with DR, data protection, and you guys have been a great partner, and I hope we can kind of continue that relationship on.
Yeah.
We learn as much from you guys as you learn from us, so thank you very much.
Cheers, Jim.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So I'm going to introduce Stephen Bacon, who's our Vice President of Data Protection Solutions, and he runs product management. Stephen, come on up. So, first of all, these other guys have done pretty good. Pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it so far.
I'll give them a good
rating. I hope Stephen's not going to let you down. He's going to rise to the occasion. He's got it. Have a good spot here. All right.
Thanks, Jim. So, folks, one of the great things that I think we've heard so far is cyber resilience and data protection really permeates our portfolio. You heard Jim talk about it earlier. You heard Gokul talk about the X10000 role that contributes to that context. And you heard some of the great things that we do in the likes of the B10000 from Sanjay as well. And this is really an important aspect to the HP philosophy when it comes to cyber resilience and data protection. It's not a point product. It requires a holistic, comprehensive, multi-layered approach. And that's very much what we are delivering. As some high-level context for what's really driving us, shaping us, as we talk to organizations around the world, including a good number of yourselves, the landscape is changing. This includes from the perspective of new threats, new workloads, as well as, we just discussed, more stringent regulations that need to be addressed as well. When we talk about new threats, what rises to the fore is unfortunately the likes of ransomware, bad actors, both external and at times internal too. If you look to the folks sitting next to you, chances are you're going to be looking at someone, if not yourself, that has been subject to a ransomware attack. More than half of organizations are attacked on an annual basis. But what's potentially more scary is that backup environments are a common vector for those attacks. By some industry analysts, 94% of attacks include backup environments as a vector. The reason being, probably fairly obvious, if you eliminate the ability to recover, you have little option but to pay those ransoms. And when we look at the overall cost of some of these attacks on a global basis, we're talking an average of $4.9 million US per attack. That's in addition to the operational disruption, if not existential threat it creates for not just yourselves as an organization, but depending on what industry you're in, the customers that you actually service in addition. At the same time we're suffering these new threats, that's not the end of it. We're also facing new workloads, including from the fact that data is everywhere, at loosely controlled devices, at the edge and core data centers in the cloud, new workloads such as SaaS, cloud native apps, AI workflows, analytics workloads, all in addition to the likes of increasing operational complexity as we seek to deal with silos of data and disparate operational tools across an environment. And because of all of these challenges, our fundamental view is it's time to reimagine data protection and take that holistic, comprehensive approach that can span seamlessly from edge to cloud and from source to target, and do so for any workload running in any location and being able to meet any SLA demand. As we execute on that vision, that holistic, comprehensive approach, there are really three fundamental attributes to our portfolio. One, cyber resilience. It's fundamental. It cannot be and is not an afterthought. It's pervasive capabilities within our portfolio. Two, high performance. Yes, in a data protection context, high performance. Speed is essential. Operational agility and operational velocity increasingly demand it. And three, integrated workflows, integrated ecosystem, bringing together both HPE technologies as well as partner technologies from Commvault, from Veeam, from Cohesity, and others to deliver truly integrated solutions. And what this enables us to do is help our customers proactively plan for threats from both bad actors and disasters alike, reduce human error from things like data protection task automation, mitigate infrastructure failures of many magnitudes and types, and meet business needs for economics and also velocity, those being fundamental too. How we do this? It is with an expansive portfolio. Jim mentioned this briefly at the beginning of the session. It spans everything from HP Zerto software, our cyber resilience vault, what we're doing with our online target storage, such as HP Store Once, and the Alletra Storage MPX 10000, perennial storage tape, as well as our partner-enabled solutions with Commvault, with Veeam, with Cohesity, and how we integrate with a broader cybersecurity and data protection ecosystem beyond. If we double-click very quickly into the cyber resilience context, it begins at the source, the storage infrastructure on which your production workloads run and your production data resides. It includes things like strong multi-factor authentication, comprehensive encryption, as well as policy-based protection mechanisms. These capabilities then extend through our data movers and into our target storage, where we deliver such capabilities such as immutable and air-gap solutions, automated backup and recovery, as well as ultra-low RPOs and RTOs, the likes of which Alan was talking about experiencing at Shawbrook Bank. But there's more to cyber resilience than that. Cyber resilience demands more than that. And thus at HPE, we also integrate real-time anomaly detection and analytics across the environment. This directly informs both protection and recovery decisions, ensuring the fastest and most accurate responses to an event possible. To illustrate that with just two very quick examples, with the Alletra Storage MP, building on what Sanjay said about one of the guarantees, we have native built-in anomaly detection that exists at the block level. In the event of a ransomware attack, there's also the ability to very rapidly recover, leveraging the immutable snapshot capability that we have within those same B10,000 arrays. Zerto, another example, similarly detects anomalies in real time, inline during replication at the VM level, and creates exceptionally granular checkpoints within our journals, recovery points within our journals, so you can recover both to a very granular point in time and also in seconds. These are just two examples of our multi-layer approach to cyber resilience that's paramount to be effective in the real world. We're doing more than cyber resilience, however. If we look at the second dimension that I mentioned, high performance, we're addressing this throughout our online target storage portfolio, including with our newest generation of entry StorOnce appliances, the new StorOnce 3720 and 3760 backup and recovery appliances. These are really ideal for remote and branch offices operating at the edge of large organizations, as well as for the centralized requirements of small and mid-sized organizations. They now start significantly smaller than they ever have before, while also being far simpler to ever scale up than they have been before. And since we want to make sure that they're easy to deploy into space-constrained environments, they occupy 67% less rack space than some of the prior generations, and to address lower operating costs and improve sustainability, up to 30% less power in addition. All the while bring forward the core StorOnce benefits, such as up to 60-to-1 data reduction, and in this small footprint, small capacity point context, phenomenal 25 terabytes of backup performance per hour. But we're also addressing the other end of the spectrum, as Gokul mentioned, with extreme capabilities in what we're doing with the Alletra Storage MP X10000 and the new data protection accelerator nodes that leverage some of our core StorOnce IP for the most demanding of requirements. And since we're driving synergies in our portfolio, we're able to provide the same common data protection protocol, same replication capability, same exceptional data reduction, now with extreme performance and scalability in addition. As was mentioned before, today we're also announcing that with this new X10000 based data protection capability, we're delivering the industry's first petabyte plus backup performance capability, thanks to the Alletra Storage MP architecture that underpins it, and the phenomenal data reduction capabilities that come through the StorOnce technology. But why does this blazing performance matter? Quite simply, things like time value of money, operational agility, operational resilience, future-proof infrastructure, being able to realize better outcomes for your organization and the customers that you serve, all of those things ultimately have a performance dependency. And then thirdly, very briefly, integrated workflows and ecosystem. This is, as mentioned, our third core attribute within our portfolio, and spans, like our portfolio, from edge to cloud and source to target, and what sits in between. It includes tightly integrating our own technologies, such as what we're doing to enable seamless data protection integration with B10,000 and Store Once being tightly integrated, so you can set as part of your volume creation workflow data protection policies that drive snapshots direct to the Store Once, to what we're doing to tightly integrate with our ecosystem partners, such as Commvault as well. This ecosystem integration philosophy applies to many aspects of the environment, from zero trust fundamentals to workflow orchestration, to some of the threat and anomaly detection and response that I mentioned before, as well as things like SLA optimized backup and recovery. And it's with these philosophies that we're therefore able to address a complete spectrum of workloads, regardless of the type, regardless of the size, regardless of the maturity, running in any location at the edge and data centers for the cloud, both running in cloud as well as the ability to recover to and from the cloud, and with any SLA, whether it be the fastest and most flexible RPOs and RTOs to very long-term retention. But if I wrap it up, just using some very, very direct or simple descriptors, resilience needs layers. No single product can handle today's complex threat landscape. Secondly, think lifecycle, think data lifecycle. The need to protect data from where it's created all the way through to where it's archived, not just at a single point. And finally, as we touched on, speed is essential. Speed is also foundational. Every layer of the stack, every element within a cyber resilience and data protection environment needs to be able to deliver the right level of performance, the right level of high performance, and do so efficiently and economically. So with that, there's a little bit more that we want to share, but not too much more. Jim,
I almost forgot where I was. It's been so long. It's been a long session, but great job. You guys are still here. I'm still here. Thank you. Great job. So, Stephen, we're going to talk a little bit about an expanded partnership, and you had a big hand in bringing this to fruition. So, I think what we just outlaid here is it's a very compelling data protection portfolio, and I hope everybody kind of got that out of that. But great job. You did a great job.
Thank you.
All right. So I want to just announce, I think you guys have all seen by now, but we have an expanded strategic partnership for cyber resilience and data protection just announced with Commvault. Now, we've been partners with Commvault for an extended period of time. So what does this mean? It means that Commvault's going to have access, and they're going to resell Zerto software. From a DR perspective, Zerto is the industry-leading, most granular CDP engine in the market, and Commvault recognizes that and is going to take advantage of that. It also means that Commvault's going to become even that much more strategic to us in our portfolio as we do deeper integration with our physical devices across the board. And so we're really excited about that. And to help talk about that a little bit is Brian Brockway, who's the global CTO and VP at Commvault. Brian. Thank you. Thank you very much. Which side do you want to sit on?
I'll stay on the same side.
All right. Well, thank you for coming out. I mean, we're super excited about this.
Well, thank you for the invitation, and thank you for everybody for staying for the closing.
Yeah, we're gonna bring this thing home. But I think at the end of the day, this is all about our two companies doing something special together. From my perspective, it creates value for our customers, and that's what our good partnerships are all about. What's your perspective on how this complements your current offerings and how this will benefit our customers?
No, great question. And I'll kind of play off of a theme that Stephen just went through on a comprehensive perspective for customers. We see there's a diversity in workloads. There's a diversity in the layers of the infrastructure. They all have to come into play, and especially I think as we saw a lot of use cases in and around DR, the Zerto solution was a good fit to say, can we incorporate that back into what we're doing for customers to give them that bigger perspective? But by the same token, I think we're really looking forward to getting into more of the innovation layers, in the X10,000 and even to the B10,000 too.
Yeah, and you guys have been great about integrating, but I think we can do more collaboratively. And we've talked a little bit about cyber. You guys have really oriented yourself towards cyber. You heard a lot about from us about cyber. I think there's a huge opportunity there to bring the solutions together in a really meaningful way for our customers as well. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely, and I think cyber for all of us, I'll say the last 5 years we've all realized it's no longer about successful backups, it's about successful recoveries. And you can't just hope recovery is going to work. You have to sit down and actually plan it out. You've got to architect for the problem. You've got to understand what are all the pieces that come together. And then you have to come back over and say, can we orchestrate the outcome? So a lot of what we've been doing, I'll say both in innovation with customers and also in response to a lot of customers that have gotten themselves into some challenging cases, is coming back over to say, how do we really architect for that new set of outcomes and then be able to come back over and prove it on a fairly frequent and regular basis.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I heard today that the average ransomware attack takes 17 days to negotiate. And then it takes another 18 days on average, to kind of recover and so forth. So, it's a serious thing. It's something that you have to have the right infrastructure and the right solutions in place for. And I think we're going to be in a unique position to continue to build on that.
Absolutely. I think we all kind of look at recovery in a lot of cases. We think about migration projects that we all kind of plan out for a month to come over and do, 4 applications. And when you're dealing with cyber, you're coming back over and doing, 1,000 in the course of a couple of days, because like you said earlier, the board is on your back. The investors are on your back, and all your supply chain partners up and down the stream are on your back too. Yeah. So you got to be quick.
Absolutely. And I know going forward, just a quick look forward, we got more innovation planned.
Absolutely.
Tighter integration with our products. So we're looking forward to working very closely with you guys.
Absolutely. I think we're going to both be busy at it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
all right, you guys. Thank you, Brian. So folks, I hope you've enjoyed our show. We're very proud of the innovation-driven accomplishments that we've been able to deliver over the last year, and whatever that is. But our idea here is to build storage solutions that are always on, scalable, always available, with the lowest TCO, enabling you to innovate and differentiate in the markets that you serve. I want to thank you, for being here one more time. Take advantage of the amazing content that we have in the rest of the show, and feel free to walk up to some of our experts in the demo area. We're here to serve you. You have questions, you want a little deeper dive, you want to look at a demo in addition to what you've already seen. We've got plenty out here. So thank you very much.